hello, welcome back to the channel. I am Bekah Joe, aka the Makeup Tax Lady. After a day of being the tax lady, I wanted to come and do some makeup. So in today's video, we are playing with the Ensley Reign Cosmetics Twisted Tea Party palette. This is a gorgeous palette that the brand came out with sometime in 2023. And I picked it up earlier this year, 2024, but I have been having a lot of fun with this palette. My friend Janna, I'll link some of her videos down below, the eyeshadow enthusiast. This is one of her favorite palettes from Ensley Reign, and I can see why. Today we are getting into this eye look, these face swatches. So if you're curious to see more about this palette, please stick around. Let's get into this look with the Ensley Reign Cosmetics Twisted Tea Party palette. The real question is, what shades are we going to use today? I'm going to start with Delirious Dormouse, this beautiful lavender kind of gray grungy shade, and put that on the outer corners of my eyes, kind of blended in through my crease. That shade is decently subtle and I love that shade. It's just a little bit of interest, just a little bit of color, a little bit of depth without being too bright and without being too anything. It's such a staple color and I love so much that it's included in this palette. I think it can be used with so many different looks. Now I want to grab the shade Cheshire's Secret and do very similar shape to what I did with the previous shade, but maybe just a little bit more concentrated, closer to the lash line. After I put down both of those shades in kind of the shape that I wanted, I just took a clean, fluffy brush and just softly went around all the edges and used this brush to kind of pull both of those shades through my crease. If you are new here, that has been my favorite way to do my eyeshadow shapes lately, has been to concentrate the mattes and the depth in the outer corner, and then just bringing whatever's left over, pulling that through the crease instead of doing a separate crease and then an outer corner shade. It's just been what I've been looking for, and I've really been enjoying that lately. Now I want to change it up a little bit. I want to go into the shade Teacup here and use that to further deepen out my crease. And by crease, I mean outer corner. Honestly, this is a fun matte look right here. I like that. I like that combination, the contrast a little bit between the purple and the green. I think that's really fun. I think the layers, the shades layered well. They stay true to color and they don't muddy up against each other, but you can build the matte shades. I love Ensley Reign's formulas in general. Their matte formulas I think are absolutely beautiful. I think I want to do something more colorful, more fun on the lower lash line. I'm gonna take Looking Glass and put that on the lower lash line. I may also throw in one of these purples. You'll see in a second. I'll explain what I did. I'll be right back. So I just kind of sloppily threw on Looking Glass through the outer portion of my lower lash line, and then Cheshire Secrets through the inner portion of my lower lash line. And that's the fun little pop of blue that we've got going on. Like I said, it was messy. Now the question is, which shimmer shades do I want to wear? I'm about to swatch them all on my face, as you know, but which ones do I want to put on my eyes? I'm going to start with Mind Melt. Such a pretty color. I'm going to put that on the kind of inner half of my eye. And I got it on the lower lash line. Whatever. More sparkles for everyone, including my lower lash line. Yes, please. Gosh, do you see the impact of that shade? It's foiled. Like it looks like pieces of aluminum foil on my eyes. I'm sure that's none of the actual ingredients. I'm not making any claims on that. It's just the effect that it gives. It is so cool. I may have gotten a little bit too much right there, but it doesn't look bad. It does not make it look bad at all. Now I want to grab Hysterical Hatter and use that to merge over to the matte shades. Woo! Look at that. I'll blend it all together here in a sec. I just cleaned my finger off. I'm gonna use that to blend between the two shades just to make sure there's a soft transition. And then I'll go in with my clean fluffy brush and just very gently go around the crease, softening the shimmers and all the shades. I am gonna go back into Teacup and use that here in the outer portion to just kind of blend in with that shimmer. Now I'm using a clean, small blending brush. This is a Refer 13. Just using this to soften the matte that I laid back down. Making sure I've got the shape that I'm going for, more or less. This is looking so fun, so dramatic. I love it. I just cleaned up that shimmer just a little bit with a Q-tip. Now I'm going to take Chasing Rabbits, which is this gorgeous holochrome shade. I'm going to get it on the brush, spray the brush, and then I'm gonna add that just to the inner portion of my lower lash line. Okay, that shade went on a little messy, but that's okay. I don't mind. I'm gonna go do some mascara and I will be right back so we can throw these swatches on my face. Okay, my mascara is still drying, but here we are with the finished eyeshadow look. I'm wearing my Smashbox Superfan mascara in the shade Black. On my face, I have my IT Cosmetics concealer. This is the shade Light Neutral 22, and I have just a little bit of RCMA No Color powder over my face just to kind of set my face. And I have a lip gloss from Unearthly on my lips. So if this isn't your first face swatch video, you know that I like to have a blank canvas when I swatch these beautiful shadows on my face. So I feel kind of naked without any bronzer, contour, and blush, especially because I'm a blush girl, but I don't want those cheek shades to mess with what we're looking at on these shadows. So it's just a plain canvas. And this IT Cosmetics concealer is all over my face. It blends out really well into the whole face. And it also remains just ever so slightly tacky. So I think that'll help us see the shadows. I get to pull them down my cheeks so you will see the full effect. Also for reference, I am filming in front of my little makeup stand here. So this is artificial light. So here is the cover of the Ensley Reign Twisted Tea Party palette. We've got this super cool Mad Hatter. Here is the back. It looks the same, just with a few of the details on the palette. We open up the palette inside. On the top here, we have the Cheshire Cat, so there's no mirror in this palette. It says, "We're all mad here," and I love that. Here, of course, is the color story that we are about to do swatches with. All of the shades in this palette are magnetic and removable, so I can pull these out. You know that I like doing my BYOPs, build your own palettes, so I can treat all of these as single eyeshadows when it pleases me, and I will be doing that at some point. I love that Ensley Reign makes that part of their packaging with their palettes. The one palette that I have from them that I don't have that is the Flower Moon palette, which I absolutely love that palette. So I have the original Flower Moon, and there's a part of me that would love to get the new Flower Moon just so that I have the removable pans, and then they've tweaked a few of the shades just a little bit, but I can't justify it because I have this one and I love this one. So I'm gonna stick with what I have for now. Okay, let's start these swatches. I'm going to pick up the shades Chasing Rabbits, Mind Melt, and Amanita Muscaria. Don't know what that means, probably pronounced it wrong. So here are the shades Chasing Rabbits, Mind Melt, and Amanita Muscaria. These two shades are definitely more chunky, more textured, a flakier formula This shade is super smooth, no texture at all. You'll see with these two that even though they're super textured, they melt. Like when you have rubbed your finger in the shade and like now that it's on my finger, like it looks like one shade. It doesn't look textured and flaky and all that anymore. All of the shimmer shades in this palette are special shades. Hopefully we're able to see that. I can demonstrate that as we go through, but every single one of them has something special to it. Most of them, if not all of them, are a multi-chrome. A few of them may be more like just a duochrome, but still beautiful, still shifty. And many of them have a sparkle and or a holochrome. They're gorgeous. So I'm going to swatch these on my cheek. I may dip back in just to make sure, like I said, that I can pull them all the way down my cheek, that we have a full view of just how special these special shades are. Okay, I did not actually need to dip back in at all. So again, we have Chasing Rabbits, Mind Melt, and let me pull it up here so I can read it. Amanita Muscaria. I was planning to do all 9 shades on one cheek. I don't think that's gonna happen. So I think I'm gonna fit 2 more on this cheek, and then we'll do 4 on this cheek, and then we'll do the mattes across the forehead like we usually do. Okay, so the other 2 for this cheek, I'm gonna take Distorted Dream and Hysterical Hatter. These are both definitely more of a textured shade. Distorted Dream, this one here, is probably the most textured shade in the palette, and Hysterical Hatter is also textured but maybe slightly less. But again, look at how those melt on the finger. They're molten, they're metallic, they're foiled. And then the shine and the brilliance that they have. I'm adding just a little bit more to Hysterical Hatter to make sure we can get that full impact. One of the things that I love many things about Ensley Reign Cosmetics. One of the things that gets me, like so just gets me and I love it, is that their shimmer shades pretty much all of the time can be sheared out to a less dramatic, less impactful, more sparkled, more piecey look, or they can be built up to show more of the opacity that they can have, more of that foiled feature. You really can manipulate the shades in that way, and I think it's so much fun and it's so cool. So again, these are Distorted Dream and Hysterical Hatter. And as a reminder, I have Mind Melt and Hysterical Hatter on my eyes in this look today. I also have Chasing Rabbits, the very first shade here, just a little bit on my lower lash line. Okay, next we have Muchness, Drink Me, and Elixir. So here on my fingers we have Muchness, Drink Me, and Elixir. Muchness and Elixir are super smooth. Drink Me has a little bit of texture to it, but it's not the same like chunky, flaky formula that some of these other shades had. It's just a different kind of textured, but still so gorgeous. That was actually the first shade that I wore from this palette and it sold me. I mean, I'd already purchased the palette, you know what I mean. If you're not new here, you know that I love these sheer base with a glimmer, a sparkle, something special, a shift, a flash. That's exactly what Elixir is. And also these olive tones with these purple tones, so gorgeous, so gorgeous. The last shimmer in the palette is the shade Bonkers. And this is a gorgeous hollow chrome shade. And I really hope you'll be able to see that. I hope that comes across. This is such a pretty shade. I often can be intimidated by deep colors, but this one, as well as many of Ensley Reign's other shades, have there's a light to them that kind of brings them forward. So maybe they're deep, but they're not deep and that's it. They have something to them that brings a little life to the picture. Hopefully you are able to see the rainbow sparkles in that shade. There is something so earthy balanced with neutral in this palette, and I think that's pretty obvious by looking at the color story, but just in playing with it too. And I love earthy shades. I love earthy tones. I love colorful shades. Olive green and purples are some of my favorites. I've really been loving blues lately. These have probably helped me towards loving blues. This palette just has so much to offer. And combining the shades, when I look at this palette, especially before I had it, when I looked at it online, I was like, oh, this is kind of the grungy side and this is the colorful side. And that's kind of true. I would say, in my opinion, all of these shimmers can be in some capacity neutral. They can play more neutral, more toned down, I guess. And then the mattes are really just there to complement the shimmers. These three shades have a little bit of vibrancy to them, but again, with the Ensley Reign matte formula, they can be sheared out and blended out so that they don't have to be super bright and super intense. So I think that this palette actually really is super complementary between all of the shades, all of the color stories here. I've talked about how much Delirious Dormouse just makes sense to me. I love that shade. Okay, let's swatch the mattes. Starting with Hypnotic and Teacup and Cheshire's Secrets. So here we have Hypnotic, Teacup, Cheshire's Secrets. Next, we're gonna grab this beautiful black matte. This is Rabbit, and then Delirious Dormouse and Looking Glass. So on my fingers, we have Rabbit, Delirious Dormouse, Looking Glass. Last shade in the palette to swatch is the shade Surreal, and I put it on my least stained finger. And here is Surreal with all of the other gorgeous matte shades. I think this palette is so versatile and so fun. This is my face swatch video and one look of the Ensley Reign Cosmetics Twisted Tea Party palette. I have really been enjoying this palette. There's a special place in my heart for Alice in Wonderland. I think that all of the shades in here are beautiful. I think they complement each other so well. I think there's some really cool ways to combine some of these shades, or you could keep it simple, like with most of any palette really, but Ensley Reign palettes especially too. Take one matte, two mattes, take a matte and a shimmer, just wear a shimmer. I think you have a lot of options with this palette. Last I checked, it's still available on the site. I think at some point they mentioned that it was going to be limited edition. So if you're curious about it, maybe send an email to the brand, maybe check it out on the website and see what you can. I do not have an affiliate code, but I would encourage you, if you're looking to purchase anything from Ensley Reign, there are a lot of influencer affiliate codes out there. So don't be afraid to use one of those to get a little discount on your purchase. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video, and I hope to see you next time.